So, one of the things that I want to point out in the documents for this lesson are that the United States, as I've said, is Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton election in 1992 is part of this sort of reaction to the Republicans, but it's also Bill Clinton's ability again to triangulate his message. He's able to take some democratic ideas and then move ideas closer to the Republican side. So what you can see here is, and this is a quote from Bill Clinton's um, campaign in 1992, right? Uh, you know, he sort of in this first paragraph here, he's talking a lot about the sort of things that America has done in the beginning of the 20th century, right? Splitting the atom, obviously the atomic bomb, sending people to um, the moon, the civil rights movement, all of these different things are sort of successes the United States has had in the 1900s, right? But now he's talking in the 1990s. Remember that now, at the dawn of the 21st century, free people are now choosing. Okay, so now we're talking about this sort of breakdown. Free people. Obviously, that's a shot at the end of this Cold War and then the end of the Soviet Union. But Clinton here is talking about this new um, era in which people are living. So Clinton here is again pointing out that sort of greatness of America, the hope of America, but how we have to, um, adopt different perspective, right? And he ends here with government is not the problem, government is not the solution. Again, that's echoing. That's echoing Ronald Reagan, right? Reagan famously said, government is not the solution, government is the problem. So he is echoing that, but he's changing it a bit. Then I give you a little bit of the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. So this isn't excerpts from it. This isn't quotes from it. This is just sort of pieces to look over, sort of what some of the problems might be. This is looking at sort of the United States in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But the piece I want to look at finally here, in the last sort of document I give you, is an excerpt from the Supreme Court decision in Bush v. Gore. In this, they lay out their decision. Broward County is around Miami. This is the decision that is put into place to get rid of the votes that were going on, the recounts that were going on. The point that I want to talk about here, what they're talking about here is sort of how this disenfranchises people. How recounting and sort of takes people out of the vote because some people may not get counted, and it's sort of making the process too arbitrary. So what they're doing here is they're saying we need to sort of set down, I guess, sort of specifics, a drop dead date, and that's where they come into this idea. What is the question before the court? When does local entities get to exercise their opinions? And when does it have to sort of be shuffled up the status? And that's where this final decision comes into place. And ultimately, it's this is sort of decision at the end. So I hope you could see here the sort of 1990s. I guess finally, the last thing I'll point out is I'll go back up to this document here about the intervention in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Right, the NATO-led implementation force, right? So the force that's going into Bosnia and Herzegovina is trying to put in the Dayton Accords, the accords that are looking to mitigate the problems of Bosnia and Herzegovina. What they're pointing out here is that the United States, again, is really the only force that can put down these types of problems, right? And the United States is again assuming this mantle of strategic control in the world. All right. Well, good luck, guys.